Welcome to Washington, America show. Vaccines contain the same germs that cause disease. For example, measles vaccine contains measles virus, and HIV vaccine contains HIV bacteria, but they have been either killed or weakened to the point that they don't make you sick. Some vaccines contain only a part of the disease germ. A vaccine stimulates your immune system to produce antibodies, exactly like it would if you were exposed to the disease. After getting vaccinated, you develop immunity to that disease, without having to get the disease first. This is what makes vaccines such powerful medicine. Unlike most medicines, which treat or cure diseases, vaccines prevent them. Think of a vaccine as forcing a practice session on the immune system. Vaccines give the body a sneak peek at one or more key features of a virus before the actual virus barges in. The immune system then develops a memory of a virus. Typically, these vaccines will latch either directly or indirectly onto the spike protein that makes coronaviruses unique. Coronaviruses got their name because the viruses have spikes that look like a crown. Once prepped, the immune system can quickly recognize actual coronaviruses should they invade, interfere with a virus's ability to multiply, and call into action other parts of the immune system.
Vaccines are, in general, overwhelmingly safe, even more so when one considers the personal and societal costs of the diseases they prevent. The same should hold true with the coronavirus vaccines under development. Coronavirus vaccines use different approaches, but none involve viruses that can multiply and cause disease. They're designed to sharpen the immune system by introducing inactivated viruses, viral proteins, or genetic instructions, RNA or DNA, that tell the recipient's cells to produce viral proteins for the immune system's training. The 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act requires that vaccines be both safe and effective.
Thanks to vaccines, health leaders have eradicated smallpox and nearly eliminated cases of polio around the world. Many vaccine skeptics believe that vaccines make people sick, in large part because of fraudulent and discredited research. In fact, research shows the opposite. Vaccines save lives. Vaccine developers are racing to make them available as quickly as humanly possible, but it could be months before vaccines are ready for the public. That's despite heroic efforts to smash the current vaccine development speed record. The mumps vaccine took 4 years. Assuming a booster is required, immunizing the U.S. population would involve millions of injections.
Some scientists speculate that the huge numbers of asymptomatic COVID-19 cases, perhaps as high as 40% of them, may rest on cross-immunity developed by exposure to these common cold viruses. Some of the first vaccines being tested in clinical trials introduce SARS-CoV-2 spike proteins to the body in a fascinating way. Rather than inject coronavirus spike proteins directly, the vaccines deliver genetic instructions, via messenger RNA, or mRNA, that make their way into shoulder muscle cells near the injection site. One vaccine now being tested introduces the genetic instructions to muscle cells in a tiny fatty envelope. Another vaccine does so using a weakened common cold virus called an adenovirus. Once in the muscle cells, The mRNA instructs those cells to produce coronavirus spike proteins that then trigger the immune response.
Clinical trials test drugs or medical devices on human beings. To get that far, a vaccine has already shown promise in the laboratory. Once a vaccine is ready for testing in human volunteers, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, requires success through 3 trial phases before approval for widespread use. A Phase 1 trial tests the vaccine's safety with tens of patients. A Phase 2 trials tests the vaccine's safety as well as its effectiveness at different doses with hundreds of patients. A Phase 3 trial tests the vaccine's safety and effectiveness with thousands of patients.
Either of these vaccines could prove its mettle in a matter of months, and there are many others in development. The World Health Organization was tracking 165 vaccine candidates as of August 5, 2020, of which 26 were in clinical trials and 6 of those in Phase 3 trials. Once satisfied with a vaccine's safety and effectiveness based on solid preliminary data, the FDA should approve it despite the vaccine's clinical trial continuing for months or years.
Everything from supplying syringes to managing storage facilities will add to the challenge of the greatest mass inoculation campaign the world has ever seen. It's tough to say exactly who will be first in line for the vaccines. The National Institutes of Health has convened an expert group to help determine vaccination priorities. At the moment, it looks like healthcare and essential workers as well as high-risk populations including older adults, residents of long-term care facilities, and people with underlying medical conditions will be first up.
These trials are randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials. That's a fancy way of saying some of the participants get the vaccine and others get a placebo injection of salt water. Who gets drug or placebo will be randomly assigned, and neither the participant nor the healthcare workers doing the injections will know who gets what. Even the researchers leading the trials will not know whether a given participant has gotten the vaccine or the saline injection. That's why the trial is known as double-blind.
Early results from a Phase 1 vaccine trial showed that antibodies only rose to levels similar to those of a recovered patient after the booster shot given a month after the initial injection. But there should be a gradual build-up of immunity during the post-vaccination window. More than half of those receiving early COVID-19 vaccines reported mild, short-term side effects such as fever, headaches, muscle aches, and injection site reactions.
On the plus side, the coronavirus mutates more slowly than flu viruses, whose viral protein targets change so fast that annual flu shots are needed. So the coronavirus target isn't moving nearly as fast. But there's never been an approved coronavirus vaccine, so it's not clear either how well these vaccines will prevent COVID-19. Keep in mind, too, that immunity may be partial, as it is with the flu shot. Even those vaccinated could fall ill, but experience lesser, and less dangerous, symptoms.
Keep in mind, though, even if a vaccine doesn't stop a virus from setting up shop, it can give the immune system a leg up in battling the invader, resulting in a milder or asymptomatic infection. The first vaccines to be tested in the US have required a booster about a month after the first injection. Despite alarmingly high infection counts in many parts of the United States, we're a long way from herd immunity, which happens when enough of a population has developed immunity that a disease's spread becomes improbable. Herd immunity can happen in two ways, through infection and through vaccination. The herd immunity threshold is unknown with the coronavirus, but it's thought to be somewhere around 43% to 66% of the population. Even if we were to assume 10 times more US infections than the nearly 5 million confirmed cases so far, that's less than 15% of the US population. Achieving herd immunity by further infecting about 6 times the number of people who have already contracted COVID-19 would kill tens of thousands and push the healthcare system to its limits and beyond. Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover, wash your hands, keep a safe distance, cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in trash. Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover, wash your hands, keep a safe distance, cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue.
Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover. Wash your hands. Keep a safe distance. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in trash. Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover. Wash your hands. Keep a safe distance. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in trash.
The very real prospect of effective vaccines being available in a matter of months renders every coronavirus death even more of an avoidable tragedy than has been the case from the beginning of the pandemic. The way forward is to socially distance, clear the air, wash hands, and mask up until a vaccine opens up a controlled, safe road to herd immunity. The efficacious vaccine is going to be essential to prevent further morbidity and mortality. In this unprecedented pandemic, vaccine development is time-dependent, and considerable collaborative efforts are being expended to expedite preclinical and clinical assessment of candidate vaccines. The cost to manufacture and internationally deploy an efficacious COVID-19 vaccine will be vast. Prospective studies of vaccine effectiveness in real-world scenarios post-licensure are routinely needed. It's very important. Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover. Wash your hands. Keep a safe distance. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in trash. Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover. Wash your hands. Keep a safe distance. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in trash. Wear a mask, save lives. Wear a face cover. Wash your hands. Keep a safe distance. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in trash.
Please share this video, subscribe to our channel.